Hey guys, welcome back to another Virgo Girl recommendation. And today's recommendation is Queenie. Now, this series, it kind of surprised me. Actually, it exceeded my expectations by a lot. I was scrolling through trying to find something to watch, and I noticed this video, the series that is. And what I did was I just hit play on the first episode and I was hooked right away. I loved it. First thing I loved about it was it seemed real. It was realistic. It in the way that it portrayed each character. It was believable. I felt like those were people that actually could exist in the regular world. And what I mean by that, it wasn't all the, fancy, oh, I have a Rolls Royce, or oh, I'm going to go to this particular restaurant that's, private and it's only for the A-listers kind of thing. It wasn't that type of series with young people, but rather it was a more realistic version of young people living. And it also had her parents and grandparents and things like that. So it wasn't just all young people, but the emphasis was on the young people who were in the series. The star of the show, Queenie, I thought she did a magnificent job. I love the fact that they casted someone who looked just, like a real woman. They didn't try to cast someone who had been, in any type of way doctored. She had a regular, body. She had I don't want to say she had like a regular face because I think she was beautiful, but at the same time, I think it was a realistic beauty. A beauty that you see every day, like going for a walk, and not a beauty that you see on the filtered pictures on Instagram kind of thing. It was actually what people look like, and more or less what people actually look like, even the ones on Instagram. But Instagram has become this thing of illusion, if you will. It's like you don't know what people look like anymore. It's it's gotten to the point to where when I see a picture, I have to think about it. Is this really beautiful, or is it just a filter? Is it photoshopped? What does this person really look like? So this unrealistic version of what a person should look like has kind of gone to the extreme when you look at things like Instagram, because you can pretty much look any kind of way you want. Instagram has filters and settings where you can actually get rid of anything you don't like and add in whatever you do like, kind of thing. So in that type of world, it's refreshing to see real bodies, real faces, real people just doing their thing. And not to say that you don't see this anyway on certain series and certain shows, but a lot of time you notice that a lot of people have done things to alter themselves as well. In the real world, they've gone out, they've gotten, surgery, they've gotten Botox, whatever you want to. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. But in this particular series, it just reminded me of the 90s, back when people were, more realistic looking, if you will. Not to say that they didn't get things done back then, because of course they did. But I think you know where I'm going with this. Instagram, the internet, filters and all that kind of stuff. It kind of like took me back to that time, and it was very refreshing to see. I loved the storyline. Who out there grew up and had a bad experience with their mother, or they had some kind of strained relationship with their parents that was out of their control, if you will, i.e. your parents were not, they either weren't there, they were on some type of substance, they were, whatever, negligent, whatever. Shout out to all the people who had to go through a childhood to where their parents just couldn't be there for whatever reason that may, yeah, and whatever the reason may have been. And, just shout out to the people out there who had to go through that and it was beyond their control. And hopefully you got through it, and hopefully it didn't impact you too much as an adult, which in my opinion, I think things like that always do. And this series really touched on that. And I love the way they touched on it. I also like the approach they took and I loved the ending. You guys know usually the ending of things, I am really picky about the ending, and a lot of times I don't like the ending. Even with a lot of the movies and series I recommend, sometimes I'm not too fond of the ending, but it was still a good watch kind of thing. With this one, I liked the ending, and I liked the way they let the story play out all the way through because it was, again, realistic. Another thing I liked about this series is that it showed heartbreak to me in a realistic way. There have been times, if you've been through heartbreak, there's just times in your life where it's like you feel like you can like either go this way or go that way when it comes to the person you're with. And even though you know you shouldn't go the way of trying to get back with them, because especially if you had some type of troubled childhood or some type of trauma in your life and you're seeking validation or you're seeking love by any means necessary, sometimes you end up doing the wrong thing and all together doing the wrong thing, and you also end up seeking out the wrong people because people can sense a lot of times that you are seeking love and craving it and that you'll do anything to get it. So they end up treating you in a way in which you don't deserve because they know they can get away with it in some cases. So here's my thoughts on her relationship. I have been in situations where I'm in a relationship, we both are in it, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna be together, and it seems like you're gonna be with that person, but neither one of you really are invested in the way that you should be invested. And what I mean by that, both of you are together to get something out of each other that's not necessarily healthy. So, and that's something to think about when you're in a relationship with someone because it shouldn't be so complicated that every day is like this stressful tug of war. I don't know if I want to be, I don't know what's going on and all these questions and all of this anxiety and all of this stress. If it's like that all the time, that's an issue in itself. But it also could mean that you both are toxic for each other and you're both in the relationship for the wrong reasons. At any rate, moving right along. In her situation, this girl came from like a troubled childhood. She had issues with her mom. Also, like a non-existent father, if you will. And just all kinds of stuff, dealing with things like this particular guy that her mom dated, that she didn't have a healthy relationship with him. So basically, she didn't really have the best idea of what a man should be. Aside from there was one I would say she probably saw, but I'm not going to dig too deep into that because I don't want to ruin it for you guys. But for the most part, she just didn't have what she needed to be able to understand what a healthy relationship was, and that's what I got out of this. And for me, these types of series, they hit home because it takes you back to your first love. It takes you back to when you were young and naive and dating and not knowing any better. And I personally have been there. Like I remember when I was 17 and I went to college for the first time, and I was kind of thrown to the wolves, if you will, when it comes to dating. Because I was so green and just so naive. And boy, did I mean, I'm sure they saw me coming a mile away. Anyone that dated me saw me coming a mile away because I was just really out there looking for love in all the wrong places. And I just wanted to be, loved, and I just wanted to be liked. And, I was in a new city and it was just a lot. But for those of you who have been there, you know how it is. And it's kind of like eye-opening once you grow up and you find yourself and you realize what you should be getting, from a relationship as opposed to how you were when you were younger. And that's kind of like what I'm seeing through this young lady's series. It's like she's just young, but eventually, definitely, she will realize that she's worth so much more. Anyway, moving right along. I also want to talk about how her strained relationship with her mother, how that went, how throughout the film, I feel throughout the series, I think they did such a great job with not making it the same old type of, mother-daughter um, issues. So a lot of times, I'm not going to say because I don't want to tell you guys everything because it's going to ruin it. But I feel like most of these shows that have where the mom, there were some issues with the mom, they pick certain topics that happen that makes the mom a bad mom. When in fact, there are so many issues out there that a parent can do to make them not necessarily the best parent. So I'm glad they touched on something different this time that wasn't exactly the same old song. So that made it enjoyable as well. Her feelings were validated. Her mom, it doesn't make her mom any better than any of the other moms who have other issues, but it still was good to see a kind of a new topic on how parenting that's not done properly looks, in the eye of the child. What else can I say? I just, what? I loved it. I'm definitely recommending it. I think you guys should go watch it now. The series is very easy to binge watch. A lot of the episodes are like, I believe, 25 minutes. I don't know if they're all 25 minutes, but I think for the most part, they're like 25 minutes long. So easy to finish. I believe it was 8 episodes. I watched it, binge watched it. It was so good. I didn't want to stop watching it. I think I watched it in like 2 days. And I hope they come back because the way they ended it, they could definitely come back. And I think it should come back. It was amazing. And I think if it comes back, it will be even better because they can kind of see, we can kind of develop the character a little bit more and all that. Now, as far as ongoing series go, I feel this could play out for a little while. I really do. I think it could just do at least a few more seasons because they could do a lot with her just as a young, she's 26. So just as a young, woman, going through her life and things like that. So I think it was very enjoyable. To me, I definitely would love to see another series. I was wanting more when it ended. So definitely, I hope they come back with more. But guys, right now what I'm going to do is go ahead and end the video. You guys can go check this out, and that way we can, and you can let me know if you enjoyed it. I'm sure you will. And it is on Netflix. And once again, it's called Queenie. Until next time, guys, don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Peace.